Welcome to Tea Time, my friends, a place where I muse about my gender transition experience and in the process aim to comfort and inspire others to a greater level of self-awareness. I am Artemis. Today we are enjoying an iced cup of dark chocolate cocoa raspberry truffle iced tea, courtesy of the Rose and Vine Gift Company. As the name implies, there are dark chocolate shavings in there as well as some dried raspberry. It is quite decadent, either cold or hot, depending on the season. Loves me some good old sweet dessert teas. And today's video we're going to be focusing on, I guess, it can be a harsh reality for a lot of transgender folks to grapple with. I personally have come to peace and terms with this for myself. And to simply put it, it's that as a trans person, I've had to come to terms with the fact that I was not born a biological sex that I feel within myself. So, I mean, we know scientists have put out information that your brain gender can be different than the biological sex that you were born with. Not all people will pursue transgender changes as a result of that, but for me it was strong enough to make some physical body changes to kind of line up more with how I felt most comfortable. But that's really not the harsh truth. The truth to have to grapple with is that you as a trans person, me as a trans person, as masculine as I will present, as male as I will look to the rest of the world, I will never be a man. And I'm personally okay with that. I'm not going to insist that other people see me as a biological man. It's just not true. And I'm certainly not going to insist in any delusional reality that I am, in fact, a man when I'm not. Now, this isn't to say that we can't ask other people to use pronouns that we feel more comfortable with. If I'm presenting as male, I can certainly ask other people to use he and him, and that will line up and make sense for most people. And in day-to-day experiences, most of the time, it's never going to come up in conversation that you are going to have to make the distinction that you are a trans male versus male. The point that I'm getting at here is that it's important to remember the fact that you are not male. Male and trans male are not the same, just like trans women and women are not the same. And there's a lot going on in our culture today, in the socio-cultural environment, climate, where we're having to make and jump through some really ridiculous hoops to get around people's feelings on being called or insisted a biological sex that they just weren't born with, and it's just not true. In fact, to push that on other people is a form of narcissism and controlling manipulation, which I don't support on this channel. Now, just because you are not a man or a woman biologically as a trans person, it doesn't make you any less of a person, any less of a healthy construct of what a man or a woman socially should be. If you experience a dysphoria so great that you are absolutely horrifically uncomfortable within the body that you were born in, where you feel in your head male and you can't stand to look at all of the female parts that are within you, that you were born with, I would definitely encourage you to seek some therapy to help negotiate that for you until you can make, proper changes, as it is anyway, to gain access to many transgender procedures. You do need to see a therapist and be assessed, at least for now, in our society. So I would strongly encourage you to seek therapy if that's something that you're experiencing. Come to terms with it, recognize it for what it is. There's a lot that you can learn from the body that you were born with. And for me, personally, I can say that there's a number of perks that my partner for sure can benefit from, for example, and even not just my partner, but anybody that you interact with. So, as a transmasculine person, being born female and then transitioning to a more masculine role and a more masculine persona, which is what I felt all along, really. First of all, I can empathize intimately with the female experience of periods, which suck. And I can honestly say that there's probably a large number of women that just wish that their male partners could empathize even the slightest with what they experience every single month for years of their life. So, for my partner, um, I know she's grateful. Jesus, crows. Those aren't crows. Them damn birds. Just her already. So I have great empathy for women because I've personally experienced the blight of periods. I was socialized as a female, as a girl, as a woman. I was, at least on some level, encouraged to explore more of my emotions, which definitely helped to curb the tendency that a lot of men have towards toxic masculinity, where they're suppressing their emotions and they don't really have the ability to talk about them. I can empathize with the female experience in concepts like mansplaining and being invisible in male-dominated environments, catcalling, all those things that women unfortunately experience. I intimately have had experience with that myself, so I, in turn, would not then push that on women, knowing from the other side of that just how horrible it really is. So there's a lot that I've learned from being on both sides of the fence. It's a very, very valuable experience if you can choose to look at it that way. I will never insist that someone calls me a man when the truth is that I am and always will be a transgender person. I identify as transmasculine, and it does not make me any less of the socio-culturally ideal man, and neither does my measure of worth include certain chromosomes or genitalia.